Hey, greetings. It's me, Dharma. Dharma getting well, sometimes, and sometimes really going through it. So, this week and weekend has been a pretty intense, existential roller coaster for me. So, I've mentioned a few times that I'm like deeply affected by the full moon experience and, not necessarily in a good way. So, I still love the moon and, um, I seem to have some negative effects during that time. So anyway, I was feeling a lot of feelings, intense feelings, uncomfortable feelings, nervous feelings in my body, things that I try to like ignore and suppress because I've worked really hard to be healthy and I've prayed really hard and I've done all kinds of things, dietary changes, lifestyle changes, um, medical procedures, both natural and conventional. And I have a lot of faith in healing and my own healing, and I definitely have healed a lot, um, like mentally, physically, spiritually, and emotionally. And then at the same time, I still have cancer, more of it. And so, anyway, I had those kinds of feelings, and then I got my scan, and it wasn't very good. I read it, and I didn't totally understand it because some of the language, the vocabulary is a little challenging. Like there's words and body parts and afflictions that I've not heard of before. So I'm learning a lot. I'm thankful for that. And so I read it and I thought I understood it, but I was like not super sure. So I waited and talked to my oncologist on Friday, and it turned out to be much worse than I thought. So I thought it was bad, but it was more bad than I had anticipated. And so, yeah, I have a great deal more metastasis than I had before. And I have more affected body parts and organs too now. So I already had some tumors in my pleura, and now I have a lot more tumors in my pleura, including a pleural effusion, which is like a leak. There's like liquid. It's just by my lung. So it's kind of like there's a hole in my lung or something, or a hole beside my lung, which is full of fluid. And this is in the space here. Um, and I felt it immediately on day 3 of my radiation. I had a couple of feelings that I didn't really enjoy, and I didn't talk about them, and I didn't really keep my mind on those because I really wanted it to be awesome. And it was because I got rid of that pain that did not allow me to function. But on day 3, I had a night of extreme discomfort and disturbance of the mind, I guess, and the body. So I was laying there unable to sleep because my mind was kind of racing, and I was kind of getting these downloads in my body like, hey, the cancer's spreading. The radiation is causing more cancer. And at that time, I had started to have some problems with eating. So it was really difficult for me to um, chew, swallow, and digest. Like it just really wasn't going down my throat. So I did a bunch of purees and stuff, and then I, used um, aloe vera and honey and slippery elm and cinnamon to kind of create a medicine to lubricate that situation and allow a little bit more flow. And it did get better. But then there's still been a couple of times where it's like it feels like I have a rock in my throat or a rock in my area right here. Like when I try to swallow, it's like there's a major obstruction there. And so I noticed that on day 3, and I felt like there was something pretty wrong, and that the radiation was traveling, or the cancer was like kind of like getting shot out into me. And like basically that was agitated. It kind of, the feeling I had is like it's angry, and it, as it's dying, it's spreading because it doesn't want to all die. That was just my feeling. So, not saying it's that way, but it could be because I do, in fact, I emailed my doctor right away, and I'm like, yeah, I have these feelings here, and should we take a look at it? And they said, oh no, it'll probably heal, as the radiation heals, because it does take a little time for that to happen. And um, anyway, I now have a tumor on my esophageal hiatus, which is the little hole there. And that definitely explains a lot of the tightness that I feel and kind of that feelings of like great difficulty swallowing that I have. Um, in addition, yeah, there's more pleural tumors. There's a tumor on my left adrenal, so just above my kidney. Not a good place for tumors because your kidneys are like your life force in the medical qigong and ancient Chinese medicine. How they see that is the kidneys are the space, the storage vessel for your life energy, your jing, your creative force. And so that's like definitely that's the area that holds your life space. So I really want to protect it. My blood counts for my kidney function are very good, so still fighting. And uh, then one of the things I had to specially request is I really wanted to have a good look at these guys. And so I have been asking about these for 8 months. I've spoken to every single care provider that I have about them, and no one was very worried about them. They thought they might be some swollen lymph nodes. And even my scan did not come back with very much information on that. I really looked for it right away because this has been like a primary concern of mine. And so I didn't find that information in the scan. But when I spoke to my oncologist, I asked her about it and she took a look at it and she's like, oh, yeah, no, those are not swollen lymph nodes. Those are tumors. They're on your bone up there. So I'm glad I asked because otherwise I would definitely not have that information. I'm thankful that they're not hurting me. They do bother me just because they're weird and creepy. And they feel like the original tumors that I had in my armpit. But so yeah, those are tumors and there's a great deal more activity like here. So here is a bone called the manubrium. It's like a little diamond breastplate right here, and mine is being eaten by cancer. It has a great deal of bone deterioration and like just and also inflammation. And then down below it, you know, got the sternum, and behind that, this mediastinum, which is not an organ but a region, and it includes the esophagus, but my mediastinum is also greatly affected, and there's a lot going on in there. And there's also, I think, there's definitely a nodule in my right lung, and I feel like there might be one in the left too. Um, so yeah, that's all happening. Everything else is fine. So yeah, just my lungs, my kidney, and my bones are um, and my whole chest area. Like it's very, very close to my heart as well. So that's all going on for me. And then, you know, my birthday's next week. And so I've been really excited to have a birthday at all. So that's good news that I'm making it this far. And I'm, you know, planning a celebration for that, really looking forward to it and really, you know, in a celebratory mood. And then it's like, and so just very disappointing, I guess, you know, not 100% unexpected, but it's never expected either. You know, you don't want that news. And like these are feelings that I try to deny because I don't want to put my mind space there. But then when it's actually real, you kind of have to. So I went to Good Friday and Easter ceremonies this weekend, and that was a little too close to home, like kind of, you know, contemplating the time of Jesus's death and his time in the tomb and that dark period and like all of the things that he did because he knew he was dying. He knew that was going to happen for him. And so I was kind of just sitting there trying to focus on that, but also focusing, you know, just kind of also kind of traveling in my mind and my heart, my spirit with my own stuff and thinking about my own demise and my own planning and the ways that I have to look at that and prepare for that. And then, you know, I ended up having kind of a breakdown on Saturday evening. My body was just so exhausted and I felt like I was kind of collapsing and I just kind of had to have a really big cry. Um, and so that was kind of therapeutic, I guess. And, you know, now as I'm planning for my birthday, I'm like more intensely planning also for all of my end of life care. So I have my hospice lined up, I have my death with dignity and end of life support lined up with the Washington State Death with Dignity. And I just had a conversation today with someone from End of Life Washington, and they've helped me to connect with Washington State VSED. So that's voluntary stopping of eating and drinking, because that's another thing that I will probably choose to do when if that time comes, and if I think I can, so if I think that that can work and I'm not in such bad pain, I actually do not really want to use an end of life drug cocktail, because I prefer not to use drugs. But I'm glad that it exists, because if I'm really, really, really miserable and really, really suffering and it's no kind of life, then I'll know that it's time to go, and I'll want to check out as quickly as possible. Um, I think by that time I will have definitely had opportunities to, say my goodbyes and everything like that, or my see you laters, see you in the other side kind of things. Um, and so, everyone is aware that maybe not fully of how like serious my situation is, but that my situation is terminal, and you know, short of a awesome miracle that I'm still like, hoping for, it's irrevocable. Like there's not any statistical probability of healing from this, but rules are made to be broken. But anyway, so far not breaking that many rules, except my oncologist did say that my progression is actually a lot slower than what they would expect. So even though to me it feels like everything's exploding, it's not at the rate that most people with my condition experience it. So that's kind of good. And yeah, I just have a lot of funeral planning, end of life planning, and I hesitate to use the term estate planning because I don't really have an estate, but I have stuff. And so I'm continuing to work on that, and just kind of going through a lot of thoughts and emotions about life and dying, and wanting to be as much in the moment of life, while wanting to be prepared and take the edge off for my family and my friends and myself of having to handle that difficulty when the time comes. So these are my full moon and Good Friday and resurrection thoughts, and yeah, that's what I got today. So blessings and healing to everybody. Over and out.